Sordid story time. Oh, here we go. All right. Well, I hinted at this, trying to get people to redeem it, but let's tell the story about how I got raided by the FBI. Doesn't that sound like a good sordid story? I was 20. Was I even 20 years old? I don't even think I was 20 years old yet. I think I was like 19, maybe 20. I was not legally allowed to drink. I was under 21. I was not going to the bars yet. 18 to 20, somewhere around there. I lived in the suburbs of Los Angeles, and I had made a living since high school selling drugs, mainly weed. That's what I did. I'm 19 years old. I'm living at my friend's house. His mom's in the loony bin, so it's just me and him in his house. I moved in, and I'm paying him like $200 and an ounce of weed, dirt weed. This is back in the Mexi days before you had hydro everywhere. It's about 60 bucks for an ounce of weed at the time, let's say. It's good green, get you stoned, but it's not expensive, right? I got a cheap deal. I moved out of my parents' house because they wanted me to stop smoking weed, and so I moved out. I move in, clean up his place because he was living like a freaking bum. So I wash all the dishes, we clean up the whole place, I make it look like a real home. And so we're living there, it's just me and him, and it's a party house, obviously. We're just partying. My friend had a huge nitrous tank. 100-pound or something like that, 50 pounds, one of the big ones. And we would go fill it up once every week or two, and then we have people over and charge them for balloons, and it was fun, right? So I'm having a great time, and then one of my friends, or two of my friends actually, one day they're like, hey, let's go to Mammoth. He had come back from Mammoth. He's like, I'm working there on the mountain. Hey, let's go. He's like, let's just fucking go. He's like, I'm staying there. You're going to love it. He's like, you snowboard. Let's go snowboard for a week or two. You can stay with me in my, dorm room, basically. You can stay with me at my place. I was like, okay, cool. Sounds like a good idea. Let's go for the weekend. So me and my good friend, we head up to Mammoth with my other friend. So there's three of us in this tiny little mini truck. And now Mammoth, from where we lived, is about a 4.5, 5-hour drive. We get there, before we get there, we had to throw on chains because there's so much snow on the ground that my tires are spinning and shit. So we get up there, we go up to Mammoth, and it's a mountain town. It's a ski town. There's nothing else in the town. There's a grocery store. There's a couple banks. There's a lot of really high-end restaurants because this is the premier mountain that's 4 or 5 hours outside of both Los Angeles and San Francisco. It's really close to Reno, but it's one of the most extreme mountains to ski on the western United States. So it's really well known, and all the rich people go there. It's not cheap. So we go there and we snowboard for a while, this and that, and there's a chick there, a girl that I had met one time after high school and kind of hit it off and stayed up all night chatting with her because I was tweaked out of my mind. So anyways, we go up there and I'm like, ooh, I really want to bang this chick. I want to hook up with her. Okay, this is good. I decide, all right, I'm moving up here and I'm going to get a job just like him because he says, oh, I can get you a job working as a lift operator, which basically, lift operator, you're just letting people on and off of the ski slope. It paid $7 an hour at the time. So we go up there, and after the weekend, we go back, and my other friend that went with me decided he was coming up with me too because there was no drugs in the town. He's like, dude, you can make a killing up here. Why don't you go get some stuff and we can, basically run the town? And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. And so he was like, why don't you go get that Go Fast stuff? You know what I'm talking about, the stuff that everybody hates. So I had a contact for really cheap. So I went ahead and I got myself a QP of the green, and I got myself an OZ of the crystal, and I went up to the town. The cost of the illegal substances in the town were 5 to 10 times higher than where we were from. The profit margin was so ridiculous that my friend worked for a week as a lift operator and quit to basically sling for me full time. I'm going to work, $7 an hour, and coming home, and he's just handing me hundreds of dollars every day, and I'm just basically just splitting the money with him. because it's just such a high profit margin. I'm like, dude, who cares? I'm coming home from work and taking all this money and okay, here. I mean, I didn't give him 50-50, but he put no money in and he basically just had to do the dirty work and he got paid really well. And he got to sample all the goods he wanted. I didn't do that stuff. I just smoked. So anyways, we're partying like rock stars. Me and my friend are literally the kings of this town because all of the people working on the lift are young kids like us. Who else is going to work $7 an hour except young kids who want to snowboard and ski for free? So we are running this town. And so like every week or two, I'm having to drive back to Los Angeles, restock, come back, and I basically turned the entire town into a tweaker town in one season. It was bad. And I've seen this stuff before. It was bad to the point where I would show up back in town, and before I even got back to my thing, like there were spotters that were like calling everybody, and people were lined up. It was just really bad. And this is a small, tiny town, so of course it's pretty obvious who's doing what. But I'm still playing I go to work 9 to 5 job, or 6 to 3 is really what it was. It was really early. I think it was 7 a.m. you started working because it's a ski lift. Anyways, so I'm making all this money and I'm wine and dining this girl. Like 3 nights a week, we're going to 5-star seafood restaurants and steak houses and like just blowing because I'm a kid. And what do I care? Live fast, die young. That's how I always lived. So anyways, I'm having a great time. So what happens is my friends start to get a little out of control. We're getting drunk every night. We're getting wasted every night. But they started robbing a bunch of places in town. Now, I was never a part of this. It just got really bad. Like, I just started to see things kind of deteriorate. I basically just said, yeah, I'm not going to go hook up anymore. I got enough money. And I've always been a minimalist person, so I'm like, I can live off this $7 an hour anyways, because by this time, this is my girlfriend. I have my own room I'm renting that's outside of town, not in the same town. It's outside of town, so like nobody can just like stop by, right? It's really rural. I was staying with a bunch of Scandinavian people. I just see the writing on the wall. I am kind of a seer, so I did say, you know what? I see bad things on the horizon. I think it's time to cut bait. So I just tell him, look, I'm pretty much done. I'm not going to be doing this anymore. I'm sorry. It's just not worth it to me anymore. I don't know what to tell you. Somebody else is going to have to be the supplier. I'm not going to do it anymore. So my friend that's with me, basically when we run out of product, just is like, all right, well, I'm moving back to LA because this is the only reason I'm here. And I'm like, I get that. I'm like, I'm staying because he doesn't have a girlfriend. He's just having fun partying, banging young girls or whatnot. I'm going to try and clean up because the girl I was with was completely straight. She didn't like that stuff. She didn't really know much because she was just naive. But at the end of the day, like she kind of had an inkling, and I'm sure people were telling her. So I was kind of like, I got to go on the up and up because I want to make this serious, whatnot. So I stopped doing what I'm doing and start just being a $7 an hour lift operator. That's it. Nothing else. So my friend leaves town. The town dries up. Another lift operator who has connections in LA decides he's going to get in and fill the gap because there's a lot of people who want something that is no longer in town. Because once I stopped slinging, there was just nothing in town. The town's empty. The only thing is booze that you can buy or steal from the grocery store. This guy goes down to LA to his connection and he falls asleep driving to LA, flips his car and dies. But like a week after that happens, I have this girl who's spoiled, upper middle class Jewish girl who has never done anything. She's smoked a couple joints and that's it. Like she's never done anything bad. She's never spent a night in jail like me. She's never been in a situation where you could go to jail for the rest of your life or get shot in your face like I have. She's never experienced life, as I call it. She's naive, so she's in my truck and we're going back to my house. Now, I don't go to the room I'm renting very often because I'm just staying with her because she lives in town. It's much closer, and why wouldn't I just sleep with her, right? So we go back to my place to go pick up something. I don't remember what it is. I don't even see the FBI agents, okay? This is how slick they are. I pull off the main highway, I pull down one road, I make a right, and then my place is like really close. It's like the first or second house on the left. As soon as I pull into the driveway, 3 blue Ford Windstar minivans, identical model, all blue, dark blue, just 2 pull up right beside me, boxing me in, and then 1 right behind me. I mean, like you see in the movies, I swear to God, I didn't see these cars at all for some reason, and they just swooped on me, hardcore swooped on me. They get out, no guns drawn or anything, and they're playing the good guy role. They're just trying to be like, hey, how's it going? Hey, we were just wondering if we could look around the place because your roommates have been stealing snowboards from the mountain, and that's a federal crime because they're foreigners. So we're here to investigate that. So do you mind if we look around? Now, I wasn't born yesterday. If you wanted to roll on them, you would have rolled on them. You wouldn't have waited till I pulled in the driveway and then roll on me. You think I'm a freaking idiot? No. I know they're there for me, and I know they're pissed because I had nothing there. It was a show of force. They knew all the details. They knew I had cleaned up. They knew they missed their opportunity because they probably started their surveillance and I probably quit right when their surveillance started. And they probably were like, oh, well, let's just roll him, scare him, make sure he don't bring this stuff back into town. But anyway, they roll on me and I play stupid with them like, oh, sure, we could look around the place. I didn't know they were stealing snowboards, which I did know, which is not a federal crime, which I do know the laws. So I take them around. We walk inside. The briefcase I used to use to sell is broken open, sitting on the coffee table. And we walk in and I see that and I don't say anything. And, they're walking around buddy with me like, hey. And the guy's like, yeah. He's like, oh, we don't care about that. And I'm like smiling, looking at him. I'm like, yeah, because there's only residue in there. What are you going to scrape the edge of that Tupperware? They knew they had nothing. So I take them and I walk them around my house and I show them my room, and they're totally doing that. Like, they realize I'm not an idiot and they're like, oh no, we've already been in here. Like, they've already raided the house. This is just a show of force. And they're like, we already been inside, but we couldn't get into the barn. Do you mind opening that? And I'm like, okay. And this is, mind you, a country house. It's got a huge barn. So I go and I walk them around the barn, and the whole time they're not looking for snowboards. They're doing the cursory like, They were just basically trying to see what I was going to do. And so, whatever. Okay, no problem. Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good day. Whoop, whoop. Get in their cars, take off. They're gone. They were basically just showing me like, hey, we barely missed you, buddy. But don't worry. We know who the you are. And we're never going to forget who you are. And that's the truth. I'm still, I guarantee, on a blacklist. You don't get raided by the FBI and ever not leave their purview. Needless to say, I stayed clean. I didn't do anything anymore. But when you have a girlfriend who's never been exposed to that side of life and you get raided by the FBI with her in your car, they tend to break up with you the next week, which happened to me. So that's how I got raided by the FBI. They were too slow and I was too smart. And they got nothing. Nothing. And I just never touched that stuff again for a couple years. That was the only time that the FBI ever raided me.